Last night, I wasn't feeling so good, so I ran myself a bath. I'm not too much of a mad to admit that a bath every once in a while feels pretty good, especially if you're a little sick, and during my bath, I decided to play a few blitz games, and I proceeded to absolutely bully the poor person that we are going to look at today. If you ever wanted to watch one of the most one-sided chess matches that I've ever played, today is your lucky day because, oh my gosh, it just felt like I couldn't lose. I couldn't do anything wrong. So, without further ado, let's get into it. You might notice my voice is a little different, probably sound a little bit stuffed up because I am, but that's not gonna stop me from putting out a wonderful chess video for you guys today. So, we're starting off with the very standard. Get some pieces to the middle of the board. Of course, our opponent did let us put both of the pawns in the middle, so I did that. I jumped on the opportunity, and now I'm actually pushing even a little bit further ahead. I don't know if this is the best thing to do in this situation. However, I liked the idea of pushing pawn to e5 because if his bishop takes, that's a free take. It opens up my queen to the middle of the board without him developing too much. I can always push back if he decides to pressure me or anything like that. So I liked the idea of pawn to e5. From here, he decides to target the d5 and the e4 squares with his light square bishop. I decide to just continue my development, right? We're just progressing along, getting some pieces out to the middle of the board here. He decides to finally counterattack one of my pawns, and my response is to immediately throw him into checkmate. Or not checkmate. Gosh, we're getting way too ahead of ourselves. I'm a little out of it. I'm hyped up on, what's it called? Buckley's. If you guys know what Buckley's is, it's a miracle drug. It's allowing me to make the video today. So he does decide to stop me from putting him into check. I move back. He pushes up once more, and now I take the open b3 square without any threat of him pushing up. It's at least two more moves. If he pushes here, I can take. If he does this, I can, create my escape square. And he decides to move his knight over. Now this, I don't know if it was a blunder in the post-game review, but one thing that this does do is it allows me to take this free pawn. It's hanging, and I don't know if that's the best thing to do in the world. Clearly the evaluation bar doesn't like it, but my perspective was this pawn is still protected by knight and queen. If I take this, I now have a pawn very close to developing. If he's going to castle on his king side, my pawn is going to be up there, and this pawn is going to become important a little bit later in the match. So I see a free pawn, I take a free pawn with my pawn. He decides to push up on the A file. Again, not too worried about that. I'm just going to push up, giving myself a little escape square. So if he does decide to put some pressure on me, I can keep my bishop looking at the center of the board. He does decide to push up, but he's actually pushing up and attacking my knight. And I do something that we're not supposed to do in chess, okay? I threw my knight to the edge of the board. But if we look at where my knight can go other than this, my knight can go here, getting immediately taken. My knight can go here, getting taken by either of these. My knight can go here, which is going to defend this pawn and block this square, the f6. However, I didn't love this position. Now I know you want to put pieces to the middle, the center of the board, but I already have this knight here protecting these two pieces. I have my queen, I have my bishop, I have my bishop. I am already covering all of these squares. I kind of wanted to have some presence on the side here and still be able to kind of threaten this pawn pushing up, having two attackers on it. That was the thought process. At the very least, I liked it. The evaluation bar didn't. I know we're not supposed to put the knight to the side of the board, and actually it does look like the evaluation bar didn't even care that much. So it should have been, oh, this is actually the best move. Wait, knight to a4 is actually the best move. That's actually crazy. I'm actually trying to justify, but I did the best move. I did the best move. It just made sense to me in the moment. It felt like I could see the matrix while I was submerged in the bath water, just letting all of my muscles relax. It was very nice. So I do decide to do that. He does push up with his pawn. This gives me a massive advantage in the evaluation bar because I take with the knight, knowing that if he takes, I get to trade. So what happens? He does not decide to take. I decide to castle. I don't think this was the best move in this position. Oh, it was the best move. Wait, I haven't had the evaluation bar turned on here. You guys think I'm lying to you. It just moved. It just changed from being the best to the second best move in this position. Let me prove to you that knight to a4 was also the best in this position. Don't make me a liar. Don't make me a liar. No, wait, this is here. This is it. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. Sorry. Like I said, the Buckley's has me out of it a little bit. Knight to a4 is the best move in this position. I'm not a liar. I'm not lying to you guys. I did actually make some of the best moves. In this position, castling was the second best move. The best thing to do here would have been d5. Just pushing the pawn up, putting pressure here. Obviously, if he takes, I take, he takes, I take. So we're kind of in a better spot there with the queen defending. I castle, he finally decides to take, I just trade the knights, makes a lot of sense. We've got lots of presence here with the pawn protecting the pawn. The queen is also protecting the pawn. Bishop is also protecting the pawn. So this pawn that was a little bit under protected and kind of getting a little too far into enemy territory is now ultra protected against any and all threats coming his way. We love to see it. Now, my opponent does decide to take the knight, and because I have this bishop protecting as well as this pawn, it's not even a question that my queen decides to take, also putting pressure on the rook. Now, obviously, we're not going to be taking the rook in this position. That doesn't make any sense. We would be giving up a queen for a rook. He does, however, decide to push here. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna put you back into check. How about that? We'll just put you into check, not a problem. And I actually remember during this game, I thought about it. I was like, man, if I put him into check here, well, he can just take. But if I put him into check here, he needs to move. He can either move his queen, in which case I'm not opposed to taking the queen. I'm also not even opposed to moving my bishop here so that if he takes, I get to take, re-threatening the rook. Or he's gonna move his king. He's gonna lose some castling rights, but I am now still pressuring the rook and protecting this pawn, which is exactly what happens. He moves away. I now take. If he does decide to take, I get the rook for a bishop. It just made sense to me. The order of operations was important in that position. He decides to not take. He's given himself a little bit of wiggle room here, a little bit of breathing room. His knight is coming out to play, finally developing on move 18. I now put pressure on the queen. I'm offering him the queen trade. If he takes, I get to take. This was not the best position because I've now left my bishop hanging. The whole purpose of putting the bishop here was so that he is not hanging. But the best move in this position is A takes B4. I should be taking this pawn here so that if he takes, I can now take or take. I'm double protecting the bishop. I don't do that. Okay, this is not a good position. Now, it doesn't change the evaluation bar that much. I am offering the queen trade, so it would be kind of weird for him to take and then I take, right? He gets a bishop, I get his queen, not the best thing in the world. So I wasn't super worried about this happening, but it wasn't the best position to make. Queen takes b6. So his queen should take me here. He does not. He actually decides to pressure me with his knight. I decide to take the free pawn now with my queen, re-protecting the bishop. He decides to move his queen over. I decide to now put pressure on the bishop once again, or use my bishop to put pressure on the rook once again, because in this position, I actually don't really care. I will absolutely take his rook for my bishop if his queen decides to come back out. So when he moves over, I just throw my bishop in front of him. I'm like, hey, you want to dance? You want to tango? You want to threaten my queen? Why don't you have this wonderful bishop that I actually don't even care about? If you take it, I take it. I'm now pressuring your knight. I now have a bunch of other wonderful positions to get into, and I'm taking one of your rooks. Your other rook is locked in jail, and this rook is gonna die if you do decide to take. He doesn't decide to take, surprisingly. So when he decides to pressure my bishop, I just move my rook over, now creating a discovered attack on the queen. If he decides to take, I'm just gonna take. He's gonna be in check. He needs to either move over or run away. Actually, in this position with the rook, he would just have to take. Would that actually be, wait. If he takes, I take, he takes, that's totally fine. I thought it might have been a checkmate, but it's not a checkmate. We're all good here. He jumps his knight out of the way. I now take, again, pinning the knight to his bishop. If he does move the knight, I'm just gonna take, he takes, I take. Having the connected rooks on the back rank, very powerful, especially in these types of positions. And when he decides to move his queen over, he is threatening my bishop. I'm still threatening his knight. And let's see what happens next. I decide to threaten his queen, re-protecting my bishop now twice, protecting this pawn with my bishop. He decides to get into this funny little e6 square. He's really not doing anything. He's not threatening anything on either of the diagonals. He cannot take the pawn. He can't put me into check anywhere. This is just a desperation move. And after this, I now put pressure on the rook, threatening to promote on the back rank with the knight, with the king having nowhere to go. When he decides to protect and build a battery with his queen and this, I just simply take his knight, revealing the queen. So he has options here. He can take. If he takes, I'm going to take. Then when he takes, I'm going to promote, and I could just move either my knight, my queen, or my bishop over, putting him back into check. What he does is take with his bishop. I now take his queen that he leaves hanging. He takes my rook. I promote into a queen. He goes to defend himself. I take another pawn. Both of these pawns on the back 2 or back 3 ranks of the game are now a major threat to our friend Mukesh CLTE. He desperately tries to do something with the bishop. I guess he's trying to counterattack my queen. I decide to promote, turning his king into a double batteried queen attack. He jumps out of the way. I take the hanging bishop now. He takes, I take back. And the end of this game is actually kind of interesting. I don't think I make all of the best moves, but even though I'm absolutely winning, it's a little bit of a dance to get the king into checkmate position. If you guys notice or spot checkmate anywhere earlier, definitely let me know, but let's walk through how I reach checkmate in this position. So he moves his king over. Best, it looks like it's checkmate in 2 if queen to C to D8. Queen C to D8 puts him in check. King moves to G7 here, and queen F8 is checkmate. So this would be checkmate. That's the quickest checkmate I could have achieved in this position. I didn't do that, okay? I'm not above saying that I'm kind of small brain, especially in these end games here. I do look for quicker checkmates, but even with a minute left on the timer, I'm just kind of like, I'm gonna do what I know is gonna work. So I throw him into check here. He jumps back, throw him into check here, covering this back, covering this, forcing him to the H6 square. He jumps over. I put him into check one more time. He moves over to G5, which I believe is the only forced move that he can make, correct? Forced move to G5. I put him in, this is actually the best position. So F4 is check. Actually the best position. After I made this move in the moment, I was like, I don't know if this is correct or not, but forcing him to take this actually was the best position to put him into, because now I have 3 potential checkmates. There's queen F6, which is it this one? Queen F6 is checkmate. There's queen C E3. Queen C to E3 is also checkmate, and queen C to G3 is also checkmate. So queen C to G3, also checkmate. So there's a bunch of checkmates here. The one that I ended up going for was a rook moving over, king moves, and now I put him into checkmate with the 2 queens and the rook. A little bit of a longer checkmate process, not the prettiest thing in the world, but we did end up absolutely bullying this guy, having 3 queens on the board, pretty much not making any major mistakes. You guys saw that the evaluation bar really only didn't like one of the moves that I made. I'm pretty happy. We're sitting at just under 550 elo in blitz. We're improving. I'm improving. I say we because this is like a communal thing, but I am getting better at chess. I'm really enjoying it. I've lost a little bit of elo in my rapid games, but we'll get back on the horse there. We will be able to recover, I'm sure. I apologize for being a little congested, but the daily videos do not stop. If this is your first video of mine that you're watching and you enjoyed yourself, definitely subscribe. I upload a new chess video here every single day. If you made it this far in the video, you probably enjoyed yourself, so drop a like on it. I'd also appreciate that. And with that out of the way, I love you, appreciate you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. You're a beautiful person. I hope you remember that, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.